Adams drives the ball to full forward. Going back, Rochelle mumps it up. He's pretty clever. He's really clever. He's so smart.
If you are what you say you are,
the follow
a
up on the ground. He tried to
superstar,
soften it
then
there.
have
Got it
no
to Roselli.
fear. The camera's here and the microphones, and they wanna know. Yeah.
Hello everybody, Big 7 here, back for some more AFL SuperCoach content. I scored 2172 this week, which brought me up 10,000 ranks, currently sitting at around about the 40k mark. Team's in an okay position. The team value in particular is looking pretty healthy. It's at 11.95, which is pretty much up there with the leaders. A few players that I would like to have had. Would have been nice to hold Kitty Coleman instead of trading him out, and also Darcy Parish, who was traded out this week, will go into the side. The trades were exactly as advertised on Tuesday night. Traded out Parish for Cozzy Pickett, lost a few points there. How does this happen? Like, Parish just, I give him 4 weeks to get his shit together, trade the cunt out, and he finally pulls out a big score and starts actually looking like making some money. This game is unbelievable sometimes. But I had no one else I really wanted to trade out. So Parish, unfortunate timing, but those are the swings and roundabouts. Just hasn't been great trading so far this year between him, Coleman, who I stand by was a fine trade out at the time, especially lining up in the forward line. Who would have known that he would go back into the half-back line halfway through that game because Answorth gets injured and then start to put scores together. So, yeah, just a brutal game sometimes. And you add all the carnage to that as well. I've got off pretty lightly this week. Devon Robertson out with an ACL for the year, which is very unfortunate. Was just starting to put a solid block of AFL games together, so you hate that for Dev. Also, Buderick is out for those that have him 3 to 4 weeks, and Noah Anderson as well, a premium that has like a burst appendix or something like that, and is going to be out for, I think, 2 to 3 weeks. So, yeah, I've escaped from a lot of the carnage. I'll go through the team. Sinclair, a rare down game from him, not worried about him. Whitfield would prefer not to have paid that price, but he'll be fine for the year. Worrell, 68, had a few clangers that he normally would not have had, and also some soft free kicks that definitely weren't there. Houston, he is a problem. I brought him in round 3, him and Sherry, and boosted in. That has not aged well. I thought Houston would be top 6 or close to it in the defence line, but that was if he was going to be force-fed the ball, which looked to be the case over the first couple of weeks. But then round 3, I still think he had that role. But yeah, he was awful against GWS, missing easy targets, and yeah, kicked it out on the full under no pressure, and had smothers, and he was not good against GWS. Brisbane, he scored okay, got 30 touches, but he also had a couple of really bad kicks as well. And I think the writing is on the wall for him. Was not being force-fed against Fremantle. And I think the most damning thing about Houston is with 6 minutes to go in the game, he was on the bench and he didn't get back onto the field for the rest of the game. And that there was plenty of time for him to get back onto the field as well, if Collingwood wanted to do that, because there was a goal, I think it was kicked by Matt Johnson or something like that. Yes, for a player kicked a goal with 2.5 minutes to go. Houston still just sitting on the bench. So I think I want to get out of this pick, unfortunately. He's made 2K for the year, so yeah, it's a great cash cow. Lost 25k last week, 102 break even. The fixtures are a bit better as well. Like Brisbane's a pretty bad fixture. Oh, he did 101 there. Carlton, Essendon should do well in those fixtures, but ultimately, I don't think he's top 6. I don't even think he's a top 10 defender. So I think he's a fine hold, but I want him out. Grill on field over Lindsay. That's all right. That's rookie roulette. I also looped Sarong Lindsay, so saw that Sarong went 75, decided to take that. Lose a few points there. Doesn't really matter. It's only 5 points, and I would make that decision every time. So, lost a few points there. Midfield, Butters, I was a bit worried about Hugo Garcia retention, but he handled that fine. Maybe too fine, because, could have captained him, but I elected to take the Grundy 124, which is pretty soft behaviour, but I just didn't have a lot of faith in a lot of the players playing after that Grundy matchup. So, a bit of soft behaviour, but ultimately, I probably would have gone Sinclair or Whitfield if I was going to slap a captaincy on someone last week. So, probably soft behaviour, but don't really regret it. Dacos only 94, but I think he'll be playing injured. At 600k, you probably would prefer not to have him, but obviously not trading him out at this point. And just hoping he comes good. Windy 106. I only really saw the first quarter and last quarter of that game, and Windy did well in both of those. In particular, the big last quarter saved his score, 106. I plan on holding him until the buys, although if I had unlimited trades, I'd obviously be getting rid of him. Tanner Bruin, nice bounce back, 115. Willem Dersma, he is a superstar. 105, playing in a wing role, first year player. Who does that? I get that he's a number 1 pick, but to come on this quickly, it's unicorn behaviour. Lindsay 78 looks like he's going to be a decent hold with the Christian Salem 4 to 6 week injury. So happy to have him. Hopefully, he can find a spike game against Richmond. Brisbane, a bad matchup for defenders, but hopefully he gets even more of a license. He has been getting a fair few kick-ins regardless, but hopefully Melbourne look to use him a bit more in Salem's absence. Jagger Smith playing more forward, only 53 on the weekend, and I think you could arguably trade him out. It looks like he's going to continue to play forward now that Cherry is back, with a bit of midfield time, but the role isn't ideal now. I think I'll probably be holding, but I can see an argument for trading him out. Farrow 102, this looks like a must-have. Glad I got him in last week, and even at 227k, I think you're fine to bring him in this week if you don't have him. Cook 63, I could have put Murdoch on field and taken Farrow off, but that would have been a bad decision, so happy I didn't do that. And then Blue Myers, I think he's still playing on a wing. I didn't catch that North game, but still scoring well, so good on Tommy. Hopefully keeps cooking. Grundy vice-captain, I think it was on 120 at 3/4 time, and then had a bad 4th quarter, so left a big one on the table, but still happy to have him in the side. English, I was happy to hold and see what the timeline was like. It looks like he's a chance to play this week as well, which would be nice, but if he doesn't, then McAndrew will cover him, and 83 on the weekend. He's been doing close to 80 for the whole year, apart from that 123 spike game. So I would prefer to have him on field if possible, but if he's doing 80s and my replacement rookie does a 70, then it's not really too big of a loss. So I'm fine with him in the R3 position for now, although optimal strategy probably would have him in the flex. Forwards, Sheasel 127, just going along his business, and I can't believe that some people faded him. Cosy Pickett 94 with like 28 touches, a bit of Andy McGrath attention. I'm fine with that. Sammy Darcy 81 outscored the Bont by a point for 250k cheaper. So we will take that. Bulldogs got destroyed by Hawthorn and hopefully can turn things around. I'll back Sammy to be a part of that turnaround as well. Josh Rochelle, superstar. I can't believe I had doubts about him after round 2, but ended up being a great hold and at 370k, a great starting pick. Has made 84k now. I don't think he's a must-have, but he would have been a great trade-in, and I think I said he was like my number 1 recommendation last week, so glad to have that faith repaid. At 407k potential keeper, I thought was too good to pass up. But at 450k, there's a few other guys in the price range that you can go for. So Rochelle, I think he'll get a few new owners this week, but I wouldn't say he's a must-have either. Flanders 88, he might be a buy flip, he might be a hold, but hasn't had any like really big scores, I don't think. 104, the only ton, just hovering around that 80 to 90 mark. He's probably just a hold, particularly with the state of the forward line at the moment. I'm 5 deep in the forward line, which is probably heavier than most, but 5 deep is looking good with the Devon Robertson carnage and Butteret getting injured. Todd Marshall as well. Looks like he's going to be playing forward from here on out with the Lukosius 6 to 8 week injury. So Marshall I don't want on the field. Philippou 69 with like 2 goals 3 I think it was. But I think he's playing mostly forward as well. I think he's fieldable but not like a strong on-field option. And then Leo Lombard looks like he's going to go around the 50 mark. So I think the team's in a okay position. It's probably too far back to be challenging for overall, but I will still be optimising for that. SC Cup starts in a couple of weeks, so obviously want to make the team as strong as possible for that. In terms of the leagues, I've gone up to 31 out of 51 in the group, so making progress there. Another win in the head-to-head league as well to put me at 3-1, although still early days in that. Let's take a look at some trade-ins and trade-outs. Milan Murdoch is a lock. If you don't have him and he is named, then you have to get him. Flynn Perez, I think, is a bit of a pipe dream. He was in for Amon against the Cats, and then Scrimshaw got managed last game. I think Perez has been okay in both of those games, but not good enough to wrestle a backline spot away from the other Hawks defenders. So, I don't think he'll hold his spot, but if he does, then I'm happy to bring him in at 99k. Don't think he will. Angry Angus, he had a good debut game, 79, but he doesn't go up in price until the following week, Anzac Day, so it probably just speaks to how bad this set of rookies is, that he is a option, but he's someone that is firmly in consideration for me, and I might go early on him anyway. Petrarca, I can see the merit, especially with all of the forward line carnage. 570k, 101 break even. I'm a tad concerned about whether he's kind of eased back into it, although it sounded like he wanted to play last week, and I think he should be back to full fitness, but if he isn't and drops a bad score against Essendon, so with a 117, the break-even's 140. If that's like a low 100 and the break-even's 150, then you can wait on him. So I think my preferred line on Petrarca is hold and wait, and just hold off. Wait and see what happens, though I think it will be fine if you go early. I'm probably just a bit more cautious in that regards. Farrow, you can trade him in at 225k if you missed out on him last week. Essendon rookies have been very good in the past in the backline, like Archie Roberts, Zach Reed, and Jackson Pryor, all options in the last couple of years. So Farrow, I think, can do well in that system, could even hit like 350 to 400k. So I'd be fine with Farrow in this week. Rochelle, don't need to speak too much about him, but I think there's a array of forwards in that 450k price range, either now or in the future, that you can go for. So I think Rochelle's a solid option. Probably does like 95 to 100 for the year. Could even push 100 to 105. But yeah, very happy to have him in the side. But yeah, won't be pushing his name too hard. I think there's others that you can go for instead later on. But if you like him, of course, go for him. Archie Roberts at 521k. I'm not too interested in him. The way I see it, like defenders are going to be Nass, Ash, and Sinclair as your top three. And then you're probably looking for other guys. I mean, Roberts is in that range of other guys, but I've got Whitfield. I'll have Worrell ahead of him. And yeah, there's still guys like Geordie Clark, Blakey. Bailey Dale's also interesting if he comes back to form. Tom Stewart had an absolute shocker on the weekend, but he could be one for later on. Sicily. There's quite a few players in that range of defenders I'd be happy to go for. And I'd rather pick someone up at value like 480, 470 rather than go for a Archie Roberts. But he could be fine as a trade-in this week. I just won't go there myself. Heaney at 632k. You look at the break-even as 24. I would rather just fade him. And if he does 125 from here on out, then so be it. But I think there'll be an opportunity later in the year if you want to get Heaney. But the form is undeniable. 156, 196. Just someone I would have preferred to start rather than trade in at the inflated price tag. I'll go through some midfielders a bit later that are coming down in price, and spoiler alert, there are a lot of them. So I don't think paying up for Heaney is the right option. Thomas Edwards, I'm not interested in. He has a low break even, but yeah, 2 scores in the 50s, playing for what I still think is a bad club, and I think he'll slow burn up to like 200 to 230k. So, that's probably okay. But there's also job security issues as well. I think Langford playing in the backline has kind of facilitated Edwards playing in the best 23. So if Essendon do decide to change that up, then and put Langford back in the forward line, then Edwards is probably out at the side. So it's in another week I would just be flat out no. But the rookies this week are on the bad side. So like I saw by break evens. Yeah, I've spoken about most of them already, but Perez, job security issues, probably not. Milan's a lock if you don't have him, but a lot already will. Farrow, I would bring in if you don't, but I've already got him as well. So the replacement options aren't great. Like if you need a rookie this week, which a lot of people will with the Devon Robertson injury, or just even to facilitate like a 1-up, 1-down if you somehow don't have depth. Like, yeah, Perez, job security issues. Zach Ostelsky, I would be interested in if he plays over Gallup in the back line. I thought he showed a bit in his first couple of games, but and the spot is there with Gardner having a long-term injury, but Brisbane also played Dara Joyce over Zach Ostelsky as well when both were fit. So he's probably a pipe dream as well, but would be interested if he is named. Goulburn, I don't think he holds his spot. I think he needed a big game against Sydney to hold out probably Rogers, who was coming for his spot, but with Bailey Humphrey coming back in as well, I don't think the spots are there for Goulburn to be able to hold, so that's a no. Edwards, you can go there, but not really too keen. Fawcett also on the bubble, but he's a key forward in a bad side. I think he's scored a couple of goals in both games and only scored in the 50s, so he could be a guy that drops 20s and 30s. Not for me. Dirksen, I'm fairly sure doesn't hold with Wiedering and Dean back, so another player that will just sit on the bubble until someone gets injured. Not an option for this week, I don't think. Angry Angus with the 79 on debut. Yeah, I'm very tempted to go early on him. I think Collingwood's midfield is one of the weaker ones in the competition, and Anderson did show a fair bit on debut, so he could be someone that averages... I don't think he will score 79 every week. Did kick a goal, which helped him out, but he could be like in the low 60s range and get to 300 if he holds. So I think I can see the vision with Angry Angus, and if he was on the bubble this week, then he would be the top option behind Milan. Kondo dropped. Artie Jones is probably an option in a couple of weeks. I think we're at round 6, so he could be back next week. And that could be a reason to get in Anderson this week. Like maybe you're fine going early on Anderson and then getting Artie Jones next week if he's named. Or even if Jones doesn't play, then maybe you just go early on him, and he should be best 23. Hasn't had a great start to the year. Like I think that game he got injured that game against Brisbane, I think, injured or suspended. I think it was a concussion. I think it was a concussion against Brisbane. Didn't come straight back in. Played well against Essendon, but also did the hamstring. So, I think he should have okay job security. Like if he's putting up 20s and 30s, then probably not. But hopefully he can just do like high 40s, low 50s, and crawl up to 250k. He'll be a future option potentially. Edwards, I'm not trading in at 180k off the back of a matchup against West Coast. Not for me. Jordan Boyd, just don't rate him as a player, but could get to like 300 or so. Maybe not the worst option, but don't want to pay an elevated price for that. And then, there's really nothing other than that. Hannaford scored a couple of goals on the weekend, scored 63 points, but I didn't see much of that game. I did see the Collingwood game, though, and he just didn't look at the level in that game, although it is encouraging that he held his spot. GWS did play like 9 forwards on the weekend, though, and like Stringer played like 60% time in the midfield, so it would only take a restructure, and Hannaford is out of the side, I think. So not really interested there. I'm not sure if it's Lai or Lay, but could go for him at an elevated price point. I think he's got the job security. Probably only makes 100k. Elevated price point makes things a little bit hard, and 3 scores in the 50s and 40s doesn't really inspire confidence. And other than that, it's really very slim pickings for rookies. So, I think, Milan, obviously, if you don't have him. Otherwise, it's take a dart throw on Edwards or Hannaford or Angry Angus, unless you don't have Farrow. And Perez I'll pick if he plays, but I don't think he will. And then I also wanted to look at the midfielders that are coming down in price. So Heaney, obviously 24, will not be doing that. McCluggage, limited game time on the weekend, 89. He will have a couple of big drops in price, and he will be a target. Matt Rowell, we'll see if he comes back to form off the limited preparation, but he's another one that's going to get pretty cheap in relation to his starting price. The Bont, finally, the Faders got a bit of respite from him with only 84 on the weekend. And even with this insane run of scoring, 113, 160, 141, 153, and then 84, he is now down on his starting price and with a break even of 179. So as a fader, I'm hoping that he drops another couple of bad ones, and like even with the 128 and 133, he's going to reach 650. So one more bad one, and he is going to be very nice for the faders. Hopefully gets to like 620 or 630, but if he stabilizes at 650, then I'm probably just going to bite the bullet and go there. That game against Hawthorn was also the game without Tim English, which might have impacted the scoring. So definitely wouldn't be trading out of him. But for the faders, should be looking at a bit of a discount on the Bont. Anderson, he will be one for later. Already lost 75k on starting value and 166 break even, and now missing 2 to 3 weeks. I think if you're a holder, I think there's an argument for holding and trading. I think if I had him, I wouldn't trade him out for a boost, but if I could sideways trade him and not use a boost, I think that's the way I would play it. He's definitely someone. It's a bit similar to like Dawson last year, where Dawson started the year really badly. Started at 550, dropped in price, dropped to 60. People were talking. I think people traded him out at like 524 and 498. And then he had that game against Carlton, 156, and the trade-in started happening after that. So I think I brought him in for the Port game last year at 522. And Anderson, he's definitely someone that will be on my radar once he is fit. I can understand wanting to trade out of him, especially with the uncertain timeline, but I don't think I'd do it at the expense of a boost. I want to save 4 boosts for upgrades, so I can understand the people that want to trade him out though. Dawson, he continues to drop in price, 148, break even, already lost 60k on the year, so there's that. Sarong, 143, break even. Richards, 135, and that's if he plays as well, although I think he will. Dacos 133, if you don't have him, with the 94 in his system, he will start to drop price if he doesn't find a big score. Andy Brayshaw, another one that's dropped a bunch, already lost 70k and still has the 132 break even. I kind of did consider bringing him in this week though with the West Coast matchup. Like he can easily right the ship. It's just been a weird start to the year. Like the 47, he had an absolute mare against Geelong. But you would have expected him to capitalise on this Richmond matchup and only scored 95. And Collingwood only 73. I don't know, maybe something just isn't right with him. But yeah, all those guys are going to be targets in the next few weeks. So kind of circling back to Heaney as a trade-in, or really any premium midfield that you want to pay up for, I'd rather just wait. I would rather wait on midfielders, scoop up the value later on, particularly with the state of the forward line. Like Todd Marshall, I don't want him on field. I wonder if Optimise will take him off. Yes, it does. And where's Dev? Dev's in the midfield now. But yeah, let's go into my trades. So Dev is unfortunately a trade out for me. I can understand holding him for a week if you want to use him as a loop, which I've thought about. I don't have any real bigger rookie trade out targets at this stage. Like I am concerned about Marshall, but he's got a -1 break even, so I think Marshall's going to play forward, and he might put up 40s and 50s, and that cash gen dries up pretty quickly. But he's still got at least one more price rise out of him, just as long as he doesn't spend too much time with his teammate Jack Watkins and start scoring 20s. Yeah, Watkins, Can't believe how quickly he flamed out, but happy to have got rid of him last week. But anyway, circling back, Dev Robertson. Oh, yeah, so that's... I was wondering why it was 19k there, but that was projected price rise. Obviously not accounting for his injury. So it's really Robertson and Houston are the two I want to trade out. Houston, I think I said before, you can hold him, but I'm not convinced he's even a top 10 premium defender, and I've got the opportunity to trade him out. I could also trade out Windhager, but I think Windhager will outscore Houston from here on out. So, Houston is out. Robertson is out. I think the rookie I'm going to go for is Anderson, I think. I'm just not that sold on Hannaford or Edwards, and it'll really come down to teams on Thursday night. If we get a few debutants, then maybe I can go early on Anderson this week, and then I can go early on a rookie that has their debut game this week. So maybe I can just go early twice. The other option is if I do go Anderson this week and no one emerges, then I can trade in a dedicated loophole, which would be Kalani White, because I figure that I'm going to need to cash McAndrew out at some point anyway. So I could have Kalani as a dedicated loophole, and then instead of trading McAndrew to Kalani when the time comes, I can trade McAndrew to anyone using Kalani's DPP. So Anderson's probably the rookie I'm leaning towards at this stage, although if Perez is named, I'll pick him. I don't think... Yeah, if Zach Kostelski somehow gets named, I think I will take that punt as well. Even though the job security isn't great, I just thought he looked like a footballer, so would be fine taking that risk. But at this stage, not keen on Hannaford, not keen on Edwards, not keen on Fawcett. Anderson's the rookie I want to bring in at this stage. And then the premium replacements, Nas was pretty big on the weekend, 136 score. I'm mildly concerned about the fixture run. I think Peatling would be the perfect tagging matchup for Nasai. He's got the tank to run with him. Peatling has played forward as well, so if Nas wants to go back into the back line for cheap touches, then Peatling can do the forward tag there as well. So I'm a little bit concerned about that tag. West Coast, who knows what Mini's going to do? I don't think Mini knows what he's going to do. But anytime before the game, I think he decides like a couple of days before the game what he's going to do. The West Coast have used like Hoff as a tagger in the past. I wouldn't be surprised if Mini uses like Willem Dersma as a tagger and like does something criminal like that, but remains to be seen. Either way, I'm just a little bit concerned about that matchup just because Mini has used tagger in the past, and it seems like this year any team that can use a tagger against Nasaya will. So mildly concerned, but I think he should be fine. 108 break even, and then the fixture run after that is pretty good. Like Carlton, like they could tag with Cooper Lord, but he's not even best 23 at the moment, so I wouldn't be concerned about that. Gold Coast I wouldn't expect to tag unless Took goes back to his tagging heydays, but I think Took is past that now. That was a few years ago that he was tagging, so I think he should be fine from like round 8 onwards. Freeman could tag. I think he's a fine trade-in. Just a tad concerned about the short-term fixtures. I wouldn't talk anyone out of it, but probably just being overly cautious and not doing that. Nas I could bring in. I don't think I will. Could be talked into it though. Max Holmes, I'm slightly off. I could afford him if I got Perez, but I don't think I want to pay $600 for a premium midfielder when so many targets will be on the horizon soon. So don't want Holmes. Callahan is a player I really want to get in my team at some point. I think the entry point was last week, though, against Richmond. It feels stupid to trade him in against Sydney, who can tag him with James Jordan, and then North have tagged with Finn O'Sullivan as well. So it feels like a bad entry point, although like with the break even at 84, if he scores well in both of those games, then it looks like a brilliant entry point. But it just feels bad trading a premium midfielder into two potential solid tags. So I would love Finn. It just seems like bad timing, but I could talk myself into him. He's someone that I was keen on starting, but obviously couldn't with the injury and the bye, and he's someone I'll get into my team at some point. I just probably feels like I'm forcing it a bit if I try and get him in now. Forwards, I'm pretty packed out. Like I could go for Petrarca, because I think like Sheasel, Pickett, Darcy, Rochelle, I plan on holding them for the year, and I think Flanders will probably be a buy flip if he doesn't start putting tons together. So it leaves two forward spots, and I think those forward spots have to be the Gold Coast players. They've got to be Took. Yeah, he's had a couple of down games, but I think he can do 100 plus from here on out. Still averaging 100 for the year, but copped a Tholstrup tag in round 4 and then was just bad at Norwood Oval. So, which I thought he wouldn't be. I thought Norwood would suit his tackling game style, but I guess he is like a hard runner, and maybe the running like more open grounds suit him a bit more. Either way, I think he'll be a long-term option, but trading him in with the 161 break-even, I would rather bring him in a couple of weeks, or maybe even next week, like a good game against Essendon, get him in for like 510 or 520. But yeah, he's another one that is on the target list rather than trading him in. And then Petrarca, I'm probably just being overly cautious, but I just want to see him one game back to his best before I bring him in. 570k isn't cheap, and like I said earlier, if he goes 117 in this game against Essendon, the break-even will still be at 140, so he's unlikely to get away from people that want to fade him. So yeah, I'd rather just wait and see rather than trading him in this week. But if you wanted to go there, then sure, I can see the merit behind that. So that leaves the ruck position, and I think this is the direction I'm going to go in, and that is Luke Jackson. I need to take it off Gold Coast. And yeah, he's got the matchup against West Coast, which could be a huge one, in particular with Sean Darcy out. I'm not sure how much the ruck split is going to change. So yeah, last year, when Darcy and Jackson played together, it was a 65-35 split a lot of the time. This year, it's been more in Jackson's favour when Darcy has been fit. We disregard the last game because Darcy didn't play pretty much the second half, but 56, 54, 61, so close enough to 60% ruck time when Darcy has been fit. That could see a little bit of a jump with Mason Cox likely to come in for Sean Darcy off the back of Darcy's concussion. But yeah, I was concerned when fading Jackson that it would be more like a 50-50 split, or like even a little bit more in Darcy's favour. So with that not being the case, he scored well in games when they've both played together, and didn't really capitalise on that Richmond game. But if you disregard the Collingwood game, he's still averaging 120 as a ruckman. And I think the ideal ruck setup for the year would be Grundy, Gawn, and Jackson. English I would have as the clear number 4. I would have Grundy and Gawn on a pedestal above Jackson, and then probably a small tier gap between Jackson and English. But I figure that I probably want Jackson at some stage anyway. Matchup against West Coast is good. It does remove some flexibility from my side, and it also means McAndrew doesn't see the field. But my only way of getting McAndrew on field anyway is to trade in Kalani White this week, which I could do. I could go Kalani over Angus Anderson, and that would get McAndrew on field. But it's really only the one punishing score that McAndrew has put against me in the, I think, 3 or 4 weeks he's been on my bench. So I think I'll run the gauntlet and go for Jackson. Yeah, the West Coast match could be massive. Carlton is a fine matchup. I'm not too worried about matchups really with Jackson, but just this West Coast one could be massive. And I think 600k, if he does 120 for the year, which I think he can do, then it's pretty much paying fair price. And he's a unicorn. He could really go bigger than that. He could do 125 for the year. Basically, he is doing 122 with Darcy in the side, and really only the one soft matchup I think he's had. Geelong soft. But yeah, Richmond, he didn't capitalise on that. 113 against Gawn, 126 against McAndrew, and then 125 against the Steen and Cameron combinations. So why can't he do 125? Maybe he can be close to Gawn and Grundy for the year. Yeah, I'm not 100% sold on it, but I think it's the direction I'm going to go in at this stage. Could be talked into Track or Nas or even Callahan, but I think this is the direction I go. We will re-optimize. Yeah, like I said, it leaves me pretty thin for rookies to get in next week. There is a player that I was very keen on starting, and I would be very keen on bringing him in if he has a decent second game, and that is Brent Daniels. Only scored the 80-odd against Richmond. First game back from injury, so a bit of a excuse there. Would have hoped he would do 90 or more than that. But yeah, in 2024, I think it was, he averaged 90 outside of the injury games, and at 300k, if he does 90, then he's making 150k. The rookies are drying up, so I want to get a bit more cash gen in the side. But we'll see what he does against Sydney as well this coming week. If he does a 70 or a 60, then I'm probably not keen. But I'm very tempted to get Daniels in, even if he scores at 80, and hope that he builds into the year. His injury history is definitely a concern, don't get me wrong, but he's just a player that I think has potential to make 150k right when the cash generation is drying up. So I'll see what he does next week, but he's a potential trade target. I wouldn't be going early or anything like that, but just wanted to throw the name out because that's probably another thing steering me towards getting Anderson. If there's no rookies to get next week, then maybe I sideways one of the topped-out rookies to Brent Daniels, or I could just go for Kalani White and handle it that way. So Optimize didn't do a great job. English could still miss this week as well, so if that's the case, then I'll be happy getting McAndrew's score. Marshall on the bench, yes he is. That's good. Milan is going to see the field. I'm fairly sure he's back this week. He's expected to be. Jagger, I don't want to field with the forward time. He could easily bounce back, of course, but I think I would rather field like Jakes or Lindsay, which I can do using Pharaoh. Not sure if I would go Lindsay or Jakes. GMHBA, maybe I would lean towards Lindsay. He's only really had the one bad game, and that was a flogging against Sydney, although they could get flogged this week by Fremantle. So, but yeah, other than that, he's gone 60, 70, 80. Not sure who I would field out of Jakes, Lindsay. Could even just field Myers against Richmond. That might be the better play. Yeah, Richmond, they'll have like Ralph Smith and like Trainer on wings. Yeah, I think Myers probably might just be the one to field. Only had the one bad game. Even with the worst role, put up a decent score last week. So, yeah, maybe I'll just go Myers on field. Marshall definitely isn't seeing the field. I think, yeah, forwards look fine. Midfield looks fine. Grill could potentially bench as well. Yeah, rookies are going to be tough this week. Yeah, I think... Yeah, I'm not sure which way I'm going to play rookies yet. Probably to Grill, Myers, Jakes, and Lindsay. See how I feel a little bit closer to the game. And I guess the other thing is, with the Robertson trade out, if English plays this week, then even if he doesn't play, I don't really have a loophole option. So maybe it could be Kalani White over Anderson, and that gives me a captain loophole. Otherwise, I've just got to raw dog someone. Grundy against Nick Madden, that could be a 150. Jackson against BJ Williams, that could be a 150 as well. It's probably going to be one of those two for me. And if I do have a loophole, then it's going to be Grundy into Jackson. But I think I would just go Grundy if I don't have a loophole. Yeah, it really just depends if I go Kalani or Anderson. Although that'll be Perez if he plays. And yeah, I think that sums things up for me. I'm sure I've missed a couple of things that I was supposed to talk about. So if you do have any questions, put them in the comments and I'll make sure to answer them. So as per usual, thanks very much for watching and I'll see you for the next video.